Oh, yeah. Okay, now I just have to click on this. Where is it? Get rid of that. Hello, everybody. Let me try and get my computer stuff working here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first live stream of the year. I hope everybody's doing great. I'm sorry, y'all, get my background stuff together. And if not, we're just going to go with what we got. But hold on one second because, here we go. This is what I'm trying to do. Yes. Okay, friends, this is what I want to see. This is it right here. I just have to do one more thing, and then we can be about the business of fancy dancing. You know what? I'm just gonna hang on because it's bothering me. Let's get rid of that. There. Perfect. Perfect. Hello, everybody. Hello, live stream viewers. Hello, replay viewers. Hello, everybody. Happy 2024. Let me get my hair behind me so I'm not distracting myself. Welcome to the first book club of the year. I have updated the name from Lovely's digital book club to Lovely's virtual book club because some people were getting confused and wondering if we only read digital books. No, we meet virtually. We read print books, digital books, whatever books, as long as they are coming from the public library. I am going to share this live stream very quickly with everybody on the Book of Face. Give me just a second. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh, I know. I give y'all a question. Tell me one thing you're looking forward to in 2024. Put it in the comment section, and when I finally get everything situated, I'll read them real quick, and then I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. Let me see if I cannot. Here we go. I'm going to share this real quick. A Biographical Constellation of Octavia Estelle Butler by Ibi Zoboi. Okay, we are sharing. Perfect. All right. So I just wanted to make sure that was sharing, and it is. Now, let me go down here and check the comment section real quick. See if anybody has anything to say. Can everybody hear me okay? I hope you can. Okay, so let me tell y'all what I'm looking forward to this year. One of the things that I'm looking forward to the most this year is talking about a whole bunch of really cool, awesome, fun books with y'all. That is what I'm most looking forward to this year. All right, and speaking of which, go on and share the live stream. If you like what I do here and you want to share all the good times with your family and friends, then please do. Spread the lovely, share it out so everybody can be with the cool kids and talk about some awesome books. I am super, super excited about the book that we are going to be discussing today. We are going to be, let me add it to the stage. The book that we're talking about today is called Star Child, a biographical constellation of Octavia Estelle Butler. And for those of you who do not know, Octavia Butler is known as the mother of Afrofuturism here in America. We'll get into that a little bit about what Afrofuturism is, what it means, and who coined that phrase. But if you are not reading, or if you've, hang on, where'd it go? If you have never read anything by, let me put that down. If you've never read anything by or about Octavia Butler, this has got to be one of the best biographies I have ever read on her. I was concerned a little bit at first because I seen some Ibi Zoboi books around, but I hadn't actually read any. And I was like, I don't know who this lady is. Can we trust her with Mother Butler's legacy? And let me not put all that on her on Ibi, because she didn't ask for all that. And she did a phenomenal job. Like, yes, you can trust her with the legacy of Octavia Butler. I'm hesitating to call her Mother Butler because Octavia Butler might not have liked that. Like, she didn't like it when people called the MacArthur grant the Genius Grant. She didn't like that. I saw her do an interview with Charlie Rhodes in the 80s, and she corrected him. And she was like, no, sir. It's not called the Genius Grant. I am brilliant, but it's not the Genius Grant. It's this grant. And so she was a stickler for that. So I'm trying to be respectful. But before I jump all in and we start talking about the wonderfulness that is this book. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. Let's put it back. Let's put it back. Add it to the stage. Okay. Let's talk about some announcements. Okay, we're going to do some quick announcements on all the awesomeness that we have coming up. Hang on, let's see. No, that's not what I want to do. Y'all have to forgive me while I'm getting used to, there we go, while I'm getting used to the controls again. So let's do some brief announcements. I only have 3. Let me scooch this over here out of the way so I can get all my props. Okay, so the first announcement that I want to talk about real quick is the adult winter reading. This year's theme is Hot Stories, Cold Nights. It goes from, I keep doing this like y'all can see it. Hang on, Hot Stories, Cold Nights. It goes from January the 7th till February the 29th. You get game boards just like you do in summer readings. You can complete 8 or more activities listed inside the game board to or earn a prize. Every time, like, you turn in your first game board after you've done all the activities and whatnot on here, you come into any branch, you turn in your game board. This is just when you turn in your first one, and you get this cool mug of participation for adult reading. There's some tea in here. There's some hot cocoa. There's a gift certificate to books again. What else? There's some bookmarks, and also there's a bookmarker in here that talks to you about all the different programs that we have going on in the district to help you decorate this mug too. Then after that, every entry form that you turn in, you have to fill it out on the back here. So every one of these that you turn in gets you put in the submission for the grand prize drawing, which is a basket full of awesome goodness and a whole bunch of other goodies. So that's the first announcement. Now, let me make sure that my microphone is close enough so that everybody can hear me. The second announcement that I have is going to also be pertaining to adult winter of reading. Let's see. So let's do this. Since my birthday is at the end of the month, y'all, guess whose birthday is at the end of the month? It's mine. It's mine. It's January 29th. I'm going to be 50 years old. Y'all, can you believe it? 50. You saw this gray hair? I'm becoming an elder. Anyway, on the 29th of January, which is my birthday, so I won't be here, but you should be here at the library from 2 to 3:30. We're doing classic crafting for social seniors. And that's for people 50 and older. So I actually could come because I'm finally old enough to do a senior craft. I will be in a few weeks. They're going to be making fleece hats. Registration is required. I don't know if there are any registrations left, but you can give us a call and we'll let you know for sure. Then the other thing that I want to talk about that's also happening on my birthday later that night is the other book club that we sponsor here at LAM, and it's the Horror Cafe. A book club to die for. I like their catchphrase. The book is called The Silent Patient by Michaelides. I'm so sorry to that man. I am saying this person's name wrong. Michaelides. It's called The Silent Patient. You can come here or check out any book from any of our branches, and then come here because they have light refreshments and they have espresso. So I'm sure they would love to have you. I'd love for you to be here on my birthday. I won't be here, but you should come and check out the book club too. Okay. So those are let's see, did I get all three? Adult summer reading. We're talking about the crafts, and then we're going to talk about the horror book club. Yes, we have done that. Yay. Okay, so let me put that prop over here and grab this too. All right, let's see what we got next. Okay, let me make this bigger. Y'all forgive me if I lose this. I think I can do it like this. Hey, I did it, y'all. I'm so proud of me. Okay, so let's talk about Ibi Zoboi. Okay, so she was born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. She has written numerous books for, young readers, including American Street, a National Book Award finalist, and My Life as an Ice Cream Sandwich, a New York Times bestseller. She co-authored the best-selling and award-winning Punching the Air with prison reform activist Yusef Salaam. Excuse me, y'all. My glasses are fogging up. Yusef Salaam of the Exonerated Five. And she's also the author of Okoye to the People, a Black Panther novel. Raised in New York City, Ibi now lives in Jersey with her husband and 3 children. All right. So that is about the author. And let's give you a little background on the book. So I'm going to read the synopsis while y'all look at all the awesome awards that this book has gotten. Before Octavia E. Butler, hang on. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. My hands did that. Before Octavia E. Butler became one of America's greatest authors, she was a little Black girl with a huge imagination and an even bigger drive to succeed. Born into the space race, the Red Scare, and the dawning civil rights movement, Butler experienced an American childhood that shaped her into the groundbreaking science fiction genius whose novels and short stories continue to challenge and inspire readers around the world. All right, so as you can see, this book has won a lot of awards, and honestly, this list will be a lot longer. But the book just came out in 2023? Maybe it was 2022. Let me double check. 2022. So it hasn't been out that long, but it's a Coretta Scott King author honor book. We Need More Diverse Books, Walter Dean Myers honor book, an ALA notable children's book, an NPR best book of the year, and so on and so forth. You could keep going and get all of the accolades. Y'all, I just realized that I forgot to do one thing here. Hold on a second, y'all. I got to get my little questions. Let me pull those up real quick. I hope I'm not screen sharing all my business, but I guess we finna find out, ain't we? Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's go back. Boom. All right. So that's just scratching the surface of this book. There's so much to like about this book. First of all, it is a junior bio book. It's about 120 some odd pages. It might take you a couple of hours to read on a good afternoon. It's 112 plus some notes in the back. It's a couple hours in an audio book format as well, just so that everybody remembers
All the books that we read in Lovely's virtual book club come in a print format and some sort of digital format. They're either going to be an ebook or an e-audio book. We have at least one graphic novel on the list this year, and it's not an audiobook. It is an ebook because it's a graphic novel. So, speaking of which, if you're wanting to know all of the books that we will be reading this year, ooh, is blocking my face, y'all. Sign up for the newsletter. Let me do this real quick. Know where my face go. There I am. Whenever I send a newsletter, which is about twice a month, you'll get the full listing of everything that we're reading. All you have to do is click on the image and it will take you to where you can select to check out a print book or put one on hold, or you can check out an ebook or an e-audio book. Try to make it as easy as possible so that y'all can just check out the books and read as you would like. So there is the link to sign up for the newsletter. Now, let me see. I know that we're going to get into these discussion questions in just a second. Let's see. I might be able to, let me see if it'll let me download these things and then I can just pop onto them. Let me see real quick, friends. Hold on. That's a PDF there. That is not what I want. And I did touch something. I just want to, here we go. Okay, let me see if it'll let me download that. And then I can come back over here and then we'll upload it. It'll just make my life a tad bit easier. If it doesn't work, then I will, then I'll do it I don't want to say the quote unquote hard way because it's not hard. Let me go back in here and see what this is. That's not right. Maybe, what's this? Slides, here we go. And then we're going to do this. Here we go. All right. It's uploading the discussion questions now. It's just going to take just a second. In the meantime, boom. Okay, great. So we've got the discussion questions going. Let's do this. Sorry, y'all. Okay. All right, so then we're going to make this a little bit bigger so we can talk about some of the themes and tropes and stuff that we're going to be doing. So some of the themes and tropes that appear in this book, let me get rid of this. There we go. Are going to be imagination. They talk a lot about Octavia Butler's imagination when she was a young child and how that helped to shape what she wrote and how that helped her interact with her community and society at large. The next thing, there's a lot of manifestation going on in this book. There are personal pictures and notes that she wrote herself, predicting some of the things that she was going to be able to do when she grew up. We also discuss alienation, and that's just not also in some of the stories that she chose to write about, like the exogenesis. I said exogenesis. I think that's not the quite right name for the series. It's the one with the young collie. But there is alienation, like somebody is an alien and they come from a different nation. And there's alienation, like someone's alienated. Because Octavia Butler was a very lonely child. She was very different from her peers and treated as such. I think that especially back then, people just didn't have the words to talk about how somebody's brain worked a little bit differently. And then we'll leave it at that because I don't want to diagnose people who are not here to say yay or nay. And I'm not a doctor anyway, but I do recognize a few things and I'm just like, ooh, Miss Butler, you're looking really familiar. No wonder you wrote the stories you did. Anywho, speaking of exploring things, there's exploration throughout this book as well. We are exploring our fears, our fantasies, and what things can come, especially when we're talking about the Cold War and the burgeoning civil rights movement around the time and the space race. Lots of going on. And of course, oppression. That's a theme in a lot of Octavia Butler's writings, but also it was part of the zeitgeist of when she was born. And again, we are going to, here, let's make this small. There. We'll get into zeitgeist and what that means and how that interplays with Miss Butler. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the discussions. Okay, let's do that. Boom. Okay, so here's this discussion guide. I got it from the Penguin. I believe this is a Penguin book. Child, let me not tell you a big story. Let me make sure that it is. It's a Penguin's book, Dutton children's book. It's a imprint of Penguin. So I got this from the Penguin website. And there's a little bit about the author. We've already talked about the book. Let me go in here and make this big because really you're here for the book, not my big head. I mean, my big head's here too. Again, we've already talked about Ibi Zoboi. And let me see if I can't zoom in on that because I can't see that. Can y'all see that? There we go. There we go. So we're not going to go through all of these questions because there are quite a few, but hold on. My finger just drifting. Let's do that. But we are going to talk about a bit of these questions. I'll pop back and forth just so that we can see these questions a little bit better. Let's exit the screen and let's do the first one. We're going to talk about how the dedication. We'll take that first question. So take a look at the dedication. Why does poetry make readers slow down and pay more attention? Has that been your experience? And then we'll talk about names and their origins. Okay, so let's pop back out and let's see if I can find my big head again. I keep saying my head is big. It's not that big, y'all. It kind of is, but that's okay. Let me do that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the structure of the book. I have never read an autobiography or a biography that interspersed poetry the way that this one did. And I took notes because Ibi Zoboi talked about why she did it that way. Also, I love not only how this book was structured, but I love the shape of the book too, or how the poems take on a shape. Yeah, a shape. Like there's this one poem and it's called Dust Daughters, and it looks like a cyclone to me. Where is it? Not Daughter of the Dust. That's a movie too by Julia. Here it is, Stardust. It's called Stardust. And if you look here closely, hang on. There we go. You can see that the shape of this poem, it kind of looks like a cyclone. And this goes throughout the book. So that Stardust poem is talking about how Octavia's Butler's parents left the South to find a better life. Her dad was a shoe shine man, and her mom worked as a domestic labor, so a maid. She took care of people's children in their houses, and they were all concerned about dust, but dust that you could see once you looked down, dust that the employer would see if Octavia's mom didn't sweep it right, and dust that a customer would see if Octavia's dad did not shine their shoes right. But they did all those things so that their child could see that she was made of stardust. And you know what? To see stardust, where do you have to look? Up. Nobody was going to be looking down on their baby. No, thank you. No, ma'am. No ham. No, thank you. No spam either. So I really like that juxtaposition that Ibi Zoboi put into the book with the shape of the poems. I keep saying with the shape of the poems because there is a poem called Star Child and then there's one called Moon, and it's shaped like a star. It's this one on the back of the book called Star Child. I'm trying to find it in here. I think it was on page 90. Let me not lie to y'all, though. Hang on. Let me just go to page 90 and see if my brain is remembering. Nope, it is not. I'm going to find this, though, because that was one of my favorite things. There's one about a moon child, and it's shaped like a full moon. I believe that was the one where we're talking about the roundness of Octavia Butler's mother's belly, because there were 4 or 5 miscarriages. Here we go. So Star Child and Moon Child. So on page 20, you can see it. It's shaped like a star. And then on the next page is Moon Child, and it's shaped like a what? A moon. I'm doing this backwards, y'all, so I can't really. But y'all see the moon now. I bet you can see it now. Anyway, the book is full of stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that. And what did she say in the back here? She was talking about why she chose poetry, and what was happening. Let's see. No, that's not it. Anyway, she said, oh, here we go. Yes, page 109. Okay, here we go. All right, where is she saying? All right, Octavia was very much influenced by all that surrounded her. The after effects of World War II, the Cold War, space travel, science fiction magazines, the first man on the moon, and even music. This portrait of her life in poems, essays, quotations, and photographs serves as a reminder that certain ideas about our world can be understood simply through rhyme, repetition, meter, and metaphor. And like the many complex worlds and themes of Octavia E. Butler's science fiction novels, An Alien Planet, A Destroyed Earth, Time Travel, and Mind Control, poems can serve as different planets and galaxies and gateways, with their many structures and rhymes and wordplay. I decided to call this biography a constellation because Octavia's mind and her imagination were truly complex wonders, bright and far-reaching. She mapped out her creative life and unwaveringly went after her dreams step by step, day by day. One of the things that this book talks about, too, is how poetry makes you slow down, because you have to consider word for word. And I had just never seen this technique before. I thought that Ibi Zoboi did such a masterful job of this. Absolutely amazing. So let's get into that. Octavia Butler was called Junie by her mother because she was born in June, but also short for Junior because she was named after her mother. The reason why her mom did that is because she wanted a baby so bad. Her and her husband, Laurice James Butler, had been married for, I think, 13 years before they had their first and only child, which is Octavia. Here's a picture of Octavia and her mama right there. And so that's why she got the name Junie. And so one of the questions was in here, were you named after someone? Let me see if I can pop over here. Maybe I could do a screen share. Hold on. Let's see if it'll let me. There we go. I'm going to make it big because I can't see that. And then we're going to make it just a tad bit bigger. You know why? Because I don't have 20/20 vision. Okay. So discussion question number 2. Are you named for anyone? If so, do you share any characteristics with your namesake? If not, what is the origin of your name? So part of the reason why they ask that specific question, do you share any characteristics with your namesake, is because Octavia Butler certainly shared a ton of characteristics with her namesake, which was her mother. They were both extraordinarily tall women. Octavia Butler's mother, in fact, was, when she was just 5 years old, because she was so tall, they put her in the 3rd grade because she was as tall as all those other ones. But then they called her stupid because she couldn't keep up with the 3rd graders. You know why? Because she's a kindergartner. She was just a tall baby. Octavia Butler ended up being, I think, 6 feet. And they talked about some of the troubles that she had in middle school because a lot of the kids would pick on her because she was distinctive and stood out. The boys would pick on her. The teachers called her slow. She was dyslexic, y'all. She was slow. She had dyslexia. You know who else has dyslexia? Me. I ain't slow. I'm dyslexic. But that's what they called her. She faced a lot of opposition like that because she was different, because she thought differently. One of her aunts told her, you can't be a writer. Black people don't do that. You better get a job so you can feed yourself. Little things like that. Just people trying to tear her down. She spent a lot of time alone on the playground, and she talked about her loneliness, and that was a part of the reason why she started writing, and so she would be less lonely. She carried around this pink notebook that she wrote stories in. Y'all, Octavia Butler was a horse girl. In this book, she talks about growing up in Pasadena. She grew up in Pasadena. I believe she was, let me see when her birthday was. It was in June. Hold on a second, y'all. I want to say she was born in 1951, and I should know this, y'all. I'm so sorry. I don't remember when she was born. Hold on. You know what? Y'all, that's what the good old internet is for. Let me ask Google. When was Octavia Butler born? 1947, June 22nd, 1947. So, anywho, what were we talking about? We were talking about Octavia Butler growing up and being different and not feeling like she didn't fit in, and whatnot, and why she carried around. We were talking about her growing up in Pasadena. So she grew up in Pasadena. Her family, her mother and father, were part of the Great Migration, which was a time period between let me look, let me see, because there were several waves of it. From 1910 to about 1970, even a little bit after, there was millions, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, Black people, leaving the South and going to the West and up north for job opportunities, to escape Jim Crow, to advance themselves and whatnot. And her parents were a part of that. Now, because they moved to Pasadena and they went west first, they were a part of the first wave of the Great Migration. There weren't a lot of Black people in Pasadena. She lived in an integrated school. She lived in an integrated neighborhood. And in Pasadena, they just didn't have the Jim Crow laws of the South. So that really shaped Octavia's Butler's the way she saw the world and the way she saw herself in the world. And in fact, she says so because she didn't grow up with segregation. She didn't grow up thinking that one race or ethnic group of people were in charge of other folks. Let's see if I can find the quote. So that really helped her take up space in the world because she didn't see it any other kind of way. Let me see if I can't find that in here. Here we go. It's on page 28. I never went to a segregated school or lived in a segregated neighborhood, so I never had the notion that Black people or any other ethnic or culture type made up the world. She saw a bunch of folks, everybody, a bunch of people. So before we just skedaddle and skip on through the line about the Great Migration, one of the questions here was, I believe it was, did you have any ancestors who, let's see if I can pop this in here. Look at that, y'all. Look at me. Look at me. There's a question in here that asks about the Great Migration. Let me make this big screen again so I can see what's going on. Yeah, we talked about how she's different from other kids her age, growing up in California. Let's see. I think it's this next section here. Did we talk about, I'm pretty sure they did talk about the Great Migration in here. And she was talking about people who, did you have anybody in your family who was a part of the Great Migration? Let me see if I can't find that. We definitely talk about what good is science fiction for Black folks. That was part of the question. Oh, by the way, this study guide, I told y'all I got it off the Penguin website. It was done by a woman named, her last name is Torres. Let me go and see if I can't find her name real quick, because you have to cite people, y'all. We got to make sure that we cite people and we don't leave them out. This woman is a teacher, art teacher, librarian in Denver, which is another reason why I wanted to cite her too, because she's up the road and I don't want her coming after me. Here we go. Julie E. Torres. She's a nationally recognized veteran language arts teacher / librarian in Denver, Colorado. Okay, Julia, I done gave you your sources. Don't come after me. I don't even know Julia, y'all. She's probably a nice lady and ain't even thinking about me. Anywho, so one of the questions was, do you know anybody who was a part of the Great Migration? And or do you have family members? And if you don't, then tell a story about your family. They're basically trying to get you to relate to the book. Hold on. Boop. There we go. And do I have people who were a part of the Great Migration? Y'all know I do. Y'all know what time it is? It's time to talk about who? Lovely's grandmas. Because why? Lovely never, ever misses up an opportunity to talk about whomst? Her grannies. Let's get this page big so y'all can see a picture of my grannies real big. Okay, so what you're looking at right here is my ancestor altar, or one of them. I got a bunch of altars. And these are the two matriarchs of my family. The color picture of the woman on top, that is my maternal great-grandmother. Her name is Rosetta Kellum. And she came from Lawton, Ohio, right around the time that... Rosewood. Tulsa. Right around the time that Tulsa was being bombed. Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, when that all got blown up and burned down. My great-grandmother was a little bitty girl, and their family left Tulsa or Lawton, Oklahoma, because Tulsa was too close, and they were getting blowback from all of that. So they left, and they went to what was called the Harlem of the West of that time, or Denver, Colorado. The woman in the black and white picture, my twin, my doppelganger, that's my paternal grandmother, Bertha Morrell. She hyphenated her last name, Bertha Morrell Woods, but once a Morrell, always a Morrell. You can look at that lady's face and look at my face, and I have her whole face. There is nothing original about me, y'all. Nothing at all. Let me show you. That is, like I said, Bertha Morrell Woods right there. That is my doppelganger, my twin, my granny. Let me do this here. She came from East Texas, or Hawkins, Texas, to the Harlem of the West, which is Denver. That was actually, there was a neighborhood called 5 Points. And as a part of the Great Migration, there were so many people coming through. They even mention it in this book. And they talk about how Octavia Butler is surrounded by great innovation at the time, but also a bit of oppression. And they start naming all of the people in one of these poems, Spirit of the Times, when we're talking about the zeitgeist. So for Black Americans like Larice and Octavia Margaret, their lives were shaped by a thriving Black culture spread throughout America, starting with the Harlem Renaissance in the 1920s and 30s. So, and continued by writers like Zora Neale Hurston, Langston Hughes, and musicians like Duke Ellington, Ella Fitzgerald, and Louis Satchmo Armstrong. So all of these people were coming through neighborhoods like 5 Points. They had hundreds of restaurants and bars and nightclubs and things like that. The reason why those people were going through 5 Points is because their audience was there, Black people. Obviously, white people saw these folks too, but it was the Black folks that gave them their meat and butter. Wait, potato and meat? Meat and potatoes. I said meat and butter. I don't know what I'm talking about, y'all. the potato and meat. They were the ones who were supporting these establishments when there weren't big names like Ella Fitzgerald coming through, or Duke Ellington, or Satchmo, or Dizzy Gillespie. So anywho, that's my connection to the Great Migration, is I can point and say, yes, both two of my grandparents who never met each other. I mean, they met each other, but before my mom and dad got together, these people were not, they didn't hang out. My maternal grandmother was a righteous church-going lady, and that was my paternal grandmother, was a righteous church-going lady, and my maternal great-grandmother was not. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But what they both were Black people trying to make it in the world, and you were not going to do that without a community to support you. So I think that's very interesting how Ibi Zoboi picked up on this, and how to make their lives better, both Octavia's mother and father had to leave their family and their culture behind to move to a new place, to put their mark on it, to inhabit it. Again, this is shaping how Octavia ends up writing stories, and how you have to be adventurous when you're terraforming, when you're trying to make a new place for yourself. So that was one of the things I wanted to hit on. Let's see. Another thing that I wanted to hit on, besides the spirit of the time, zeitgeist. Let's just answer that question real quick. It's a German word that means spirit of the times, and people often use it to characterize the forces that shaped a period of history. So Octavia Butler was also dealing with a lot of space exploration, but also arms races. That's why a lot of the movies that she ended up watching was about Mars needs warriors, or Mars needs women, or the red girl from Mars, because they were concerned about Mars and being enslaved, but they were also concerned about the Russians coming over and taking over and enslaving Americans. And you'll see that a lot of things are reflected. A lot of a country's or a community or a culture's fears can be reflected in the entertainment that they consume, like a lot of zombie movies and things like that. That tends to pop up when people don't feel like they have control, when people are concerned about mindless people taking over and corrupting things, mindless people like zombies. It is no mistaken that when we hit more conservative timelines, more back to traditional values, you'll see a spike in them zombie movies. If you think about when Night of the Living Dead and Romero came out, that was around the civil rights movement, and there was a lot of upheaval, and people wanted to go back to traditional values because they didn't want mindless zombies or mindless people taking over their community. Meanwhile, the real monsters was at the end of that movie. If you've ever seen Night of the Living Dead, you know who the real monsters were. It wasn't them zombies. Anywho, same thing happening here. Octavia Butler consumed a lot of pulp fiction, so a lot of amazing stories, a lot of science fiction stories, but she did not see herself in those stories, so she wrote herself in. And also Star Trek from Gene Roddenberry. The first one had just come out. Let's see. I know they mentioned that in here because that was a really big part of affecting Octavia, because she really and truly enjoyed science fiction. And they even talk about Lieutenant Uhura. The reason why I'm bringing that up too is because let me go back and show y'all my granny again. Let's see. Hold on. No, it's not letting me do it. Wait, maybe it's this one. It does not let me do it. Let me add this to the stage. There we go. All right, so the woman on top, the color picture, that is my great grandmother Rosetta Kellum, and she absolutely was loved her sci-fi. I remember cleaning up our basement in Denver, Colorado, and my mother, we were cleaning up things and we were throwing out some comic books. And I was like, Mom, are you sure you want to throw these comic books? And she looked at them. She goes, those is Bonanza comic books. That's your granny's comic books. I don't want those. So she was throwing them out because my great grandmother was collecting Bonanza comic books. I remember watching Twilight Zone with her. I remember watching Star Trek with her. In fact, one of my fondest memories is, well, it's a bittersweet memory, is my great grandmother was one of the Rosie the Riveters. A lot of people don't know this, but during World War II, which was when my grandmother's family, I think, was slightly before it. I'm probably getting my history, my years mixed up. But anyway, she used to work at an armory outside of Denver. They would have this bus. They would come pick people up and take them all the way out there. And she would make bullets and rivet things for the war. Part of the issue was because she was Black, they had certain levels of lead that you could be exposed to for so long before it became unhealthy. This is a pretty common story, but for the Black women, they would let them work on those floors at unhealthy levels for a lot longer than anybody else. And in fact, sometimes they would just push them out there. And my family to this day believe that's how my great grandmother got Alzheimer's, because of heavy metal poisoning that she was subjected to when she was working out at the armory making ammunitions for the war. But anywho, again, the space race, the war, that's how it affected how people moved throughout the world and how they saw things and how they saw themselves in the world. I brought all that up, though, is to this day, almost everybody in my family is a nerd. We all like Star Trek or Star Wars. My mom used to braid my hair when we was watching Star Trek. I did my daughter's hair while we was watching Deep Space Nine. So we can kind of our family's timeline can be traced through what Star Trek we all grew up watching. So I find that interesting, and how it ties into Octavia Butler. And of course, we all like Octavia Butler because she was putting us in the future. We didn't have to no longer imagine ourselves there. We was there because she put us there. Thank you, Octavia Butler. And Nichelle Nichols, who was also mentioned in this book. I can't believe that such a small book is so well done. If y'all did not get a chance to listen to the book, you should check it out on Libby. And obviously, we've got copies of this book here at Lamb. Only 2, because these books are checked out. And y'all is reading The Parable of the Sower. I think we have 3 copies of that book, 3 print copies. They're all checked out. Somebody on hold for y'all is reading y'all's Octavia Butler. Good job, people. A lot of times people will skip The Parable of the Sower because everybody's so busy reading Kindred. I haven't read Kindred. I know what it's about. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to read Kindred. I think it might be a bit too traumatic for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I should read it, but I'm not forcing myself to read it. I've read a lot of Octavia Butler, and she has other things that I will enjoy, and it won't traumatize me. Anyway, I was just throwing that out there. Y'all are reading y'all's Octavia Butler. Give yourself a little pat on the back. Good job, y'all. You have good tastes. Let me see. I've been talking so much. Let me double check the comment section and make sure that I have not missed anything. I have not missed anything. Hello, person who is watching. I see you on the live stream. I'm so happy that you are here. Excuse me. If you have any questions for me while I'm here, please go ahead and answer them. I'm going to switch a banner out so that y'all know to go on and like the page. If you like the Lovely from the Library Facebook page, it lets the algorithm know that you enjoy what I'm doing and you want to see more of it. So go ahead and like the page if you haven't already done so. And remember to share the live stream out so that everybody can hang out with me and do some deep dive on some really awesome and amazing books. Let's see what the next question is. Now that I got my grannies in them. Let's see. Let's go to another discussion question. Hold on, y'all. We're going to make this big again so that I can see what it says. All right, let's see. We talked about how the zeitgeist captured the experience of many people. So we've talked about that and what it means. What was miraculous about Octavia's birth? Well, because her mother had several miscarriages. Octavia, there's a poem, and I think it said that her womb was a place for ghost babies to live, something like that. It talked about the tragedy of miscarriage. I should have said trigger warning. I'm so sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to just blurt that out like it didn't matter or it couldn't hurt anybody's feelings. I apologize. So trigger warning for miscarriage and grief. But Octavia Butler's mom did have several miscarriages before Octavia was actually born. And one of the poems was talking about that and the tragedy and sorrow around miscarriages. Let's see. We talked about, here we go. Let's talk about this. Let's see, a traumatic experience. She had so many. Let's see. Let's move to this next one because we're almost done, y'all. I got so excited. I was talking so much. All right, let's just skip back. So they wanted to talk a little bit about tragedy visiting Octavia Butler. And one of the things that she talked about, let me take this off because it's big. It's in the way of my face. It's bigger than my earrings. I don't like that. One of the tragedies that Octavia Butler remembers is her grandmother's chicken ranch burning down. Her grandmother was a domestic worker as well, and she saved her money and bought some land and had a chicken farm. And for a time, Octavia lived with her grandmother, her mother, and two of her uncles. Octavia Butler's father died, I think, when she was 3 or 4. Her mother became a widow. Anyway, she talked about the house burning down, and since all of her uncles were born at home, all their birth records were there, a lot of precious mementos, and something that was once alive and kept them sheltered and housed their memories was gone. And so Octavia Butler talks about how that affected her and how it ended up in some of her stories. And honestly, y'all, if you read authors a lot, you'll start to see that some of them have patterns. 2 that pop into my head is, number 1, Sherman Alexie. I know we're not going to talk about his life and what he has done. He's been keeping a low profile for several years now because he don't want to get me too'd. Anyway, trigger warning again for that. But Sherman Alexie has a motif of somebody falling asleep. I think they had a cigarette in their hand and burning their house down. And he writes about that in several of his short stories. And that's because that actually happened to him in real life. And honestly, I have been through a fire. I wasn't even in kindergarten when something similar happened. Our house burned down. Well, it didn't burn down. It caught on fire in an apartment. And I just remember my mom putting me on her back and carrying me out while I was asleep. And like I told y'all, I'm going to be 50 in a few weeks, and I still remember this. I don't have any stories to write it into, but it's still in my head. So something traumatic like that can shape your life and your creativity, especially if you're able to take something traumatic like that and mold it into something for positive use. Another author who comes to my mind when you're talking about a tragedy that something happened to them and they keep writing about it over and over. There is an author. She's passed away, I think, in the 90s. Her name is Anne McCaffrey. She wrote a lot of science fiction books, too, and she wrote about dragons and stuff. And unfortunately, she wrote a lot about sexual assault. Trigger warning, she wrote about sexual assault. I never read anything that said that happened to her, but considering her age and the time period and how much she wrote about it, I would not be surprised if she was working it out in her book. Therapy wasn't a big thing back when she was a young woman, back when she was alive. So again, I have no proof of this, but she sure did write about it a whole bunch to make me think that it actually happened, and that maybe she was using her writings to to heal, because a lot of people read Octavia Butler to explore and to learn, but also to heal. She is just so phenomenal. Anyway, let's see what else. We talked about the zeitgeist. We talked about the Harlem Renaissance and Duke Ellington and all them. Oh, y'all know what else was going on too? Roswell, New Mexico. Area 51 and all that. So again, aliens. Are people keeping secrets from us? What is happening? All of this was Octavia Butler's zeitgeist. Things that were shaping and forming a time that she was born into. It makes me want to look up my own personal zeitgeist for what was I born? 1974. What was going on then? What was happening? How were the stars aligned when Lovely was about to be born? It was an amazing time, y'all. I was there. I would know. I remember. Anyway, let's see. Let me see what else. We talked about her mother and how Octavia Butler had a miraculous birth. We talked about the kids picking on her because she daydreamed and stuff. Y'all, again, I am not a doctor or anything like that, but if somebody were to really hang out with Octavia Butler today, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody said, Miss Butler, I think you might have ADHD, or maybe you're autistic, or maybe both. If you go back and listen to this lady's interviews and watch the videos and things like that, who knows what conclusions you would come to. But from reading this book and her describing how she felt weird and she could never connect with other children, and how she would spend her time on the playground pacing, or how she picked archery because it was a sport, but she didn't have to have a team sport. And I'm just like, you're looking really familiar, Miss Butler, and I am not surprised that a brain such as yours would come up with such magnificent stories based on kernels of truth or things that you were observing, because you are a pattern master. You can see patterns like nobody business. I know who else can see patterns like that, and other people can't always follow the breadcrumb or can't follow their train of thought because their brain's going so fast. But I know who else can see patterns like that, which is why I think that she might have been on somebody's spectrum. I ain't gonna say whose, but somebody. I guess I already did, didn't I? It's too late for that. Anywho, another thing too is Octavia Butler used her public library a lot. One of the things that she talks about is she was not allowed to move out of the quote unquote Peter Pan room. That was the room for where the children's books were held. And she stopped going to the library because she was insulted, because she liked horses and Dick and Jane and all that stuff, but then she got tired and bored of it. But they wouldn't let her go to the other areas of the library because she was still a kid. She ended up going to a bookstore and buying books after she checked to make sure that it was okay for her to be there. Because again, her mother's coming from the South and she's telling her, hey, you need to double check because they might not want Black people there. And she didn't want nothing to happen to her baby. But let this be a lesson to you libraries. We don't do this at PCCLD, but other libraries might do this. So I don't know who's going to see this because this is the internet and it's going to go out into the ether. If y'all don't let these babies read the books that they want to read, as long as they're adults, their caregivers, their guardians are okay with it, quit telling these kids what books they can read. I was reading all kind of things. Like in the third grade, I was never in the kids section. They didn't have the books I wanted over there. I read all the Dr. Dolittle. I read, all the Encyclopedia Brown. So I was over there looking at Tony Hillerman and Stephen King and Alice Walker. And can you imagine if somebody said, you can't put that Alice Walker book down, you can't read it? Somebody probably should have said, hey, what are you doing reading The Women of Brewster's Place? Do you know what that book's about? Anyway. Let's see what else. There was another question. Oh, there was one. It was one of the poems in the beginning when it was talking about stardust. That was one of the poems. But then too, a lot of the titles in the book are works of Octavia Butler, like Dawn. Dawn is one of a title of one of the books from Octavia Butler. She also had, what else? Octavia's Brood. That is the series of Lilith's Brood from the Xenogenesis series. She talked about, she didn't have Imago in here, but a lot of adult rights. Part 3, adulthood rights. That is also a grouping of Octavia Butler's works as well. I don't know why I was ever worried about Ibi Zoboi. She did this, y'all. She really took the time to reference a lot of Octavia Butler's works. There is a part in here where they describe Octavia Butler as a rogue planet. And here she's talking about it. I never really learned to be a part of a group. At first, it didn't matter. I really knew more about being around adults than I knew about being around other kids. This made me very awkward and strange around kids. When I realized I could fight back, I discovered that I was a lot stronger than I had thought. I hurt people by accident. I had a lot of empathy, and hurting someone really bothered me. So they're talking about a rogue planet being a free floating planet that orbits outside a galaxy. There actually are planets like that, but also Octavia Butler felt like that. She felt like she didn't have a place in this world. She didn't know where she fit in. So she carried her little pink notebook and she wrote herself in. She wrote stories for herself so she could fit in. She said, I don't see where I fit in this world, so let me write some words where I know I'll fit in because I wrote myself there. I really enjoyed that. What does she say? In a way, reading, this is from Octavia Butler. In a way, reading and writing helped me not to be lonely. But in another way, they permitted me to go on being an oddball as far as other kids were concerned. So reading and writing both helped, and I suppose in some ways hindered. I made my own society in the books and in the stories that I told myself. One of the poems that Ibi Zoboi it's called Daughter of Dust. That's a reference to a Julie Dash movie called Daughters of the Dust. It is about the Gullah Geechee people off the coast of North and South Carolina and how they are having to make the decision to leave the Gullah Geechee area so that they can prosper, so they can have job prospects and community, expanding their community as well, and maybe even romantic prospects. That is also a part of the Black American story of the Great Migration. It's American history, but specifically Black American history. And my paternal grandmother spoke a dialect of Geechee. I call it East Texas patois, but it's definitely a Gullah Geechee accent because when I listen to those people talk now, I can understand everything they're saying. I can understand. They talk a little bit faster than people in Texas. People always tell me I talk slow, even though Texans are the fast talkers of the South. But if you have relatives or know people from East Texas, old Black people from East Texas, and they talk like, what's his name, Boomhauer from King of the Hill, they're speaking Gullah Geechee, and they're going real fast, and that's why you'll catch every fifth or eighth word. They're speaking Gullah Geechee. The Gullah Geechee people were able to preserve a lot of their culture and history from West Africa, especially all that rice growing they do. Then people be eating some rice. Woo! Anyway, back to this though. Daughters of the Dust is a Julie Dash film that you can watch because you have Canopy through your library. The library has so many cool things that will really help round out your understanding of this book. They have on Canopy, they have videos and documentaries about the Great Migration and what that meant for Black people and how for a lot of people it meant that they were moving ahead to take advantage of opportunities. But a lot of people was running away from the Jim Crow South because all you had to do was be smart and stand up for yourself. And that could be your life if you didn't get out of there quickly. Ask James Baldwin. Shoot, ask some of my relatives. That's why they had to leave. But anyway, I believe Daughters of the Dust came out in 1991. It's a wonderful movie. I'm going to see if I can't put it in the comment section. Let me see if I can go on Canopy if it'll let me, and I'll grab that real quick because I think it's worth watching. It's a wonderful movie. Let's just say Canopy. OPY. Here we go. It's videos on demand. Again, y'all, this is free with your library card. I think they'll let you check out up to 10 movies. Let me see if it'll let me get in here because I'm on a whole different account. Yeah, it's laughing at me. It said, nope, not today, friend. Not today, friend. You will not be getting in here. Hold on, let me see if it'll let me. No, because I had the wrong profile on. Sorry, y'all, I cannot post the link, but I will type it for you. Let me type it in the. And then also a new thing that I'm doing this year while I'm typing is I'm going to edit these videos and send them out with the newsletter in case you prefer a more edited video so that we can get rid of my and my hang on a minute, y'alls, and all that stuff. So we're going to put this DA Daughters of the Dust by Julie Ash. There is a song by Diggable Planets. It's called The Ninth Wonder, I think. And they have a line, you want 'em? I got 'em, dripping like water. Catch me at the hot spot with the Dust Daughters. That's also a reference to this movie. That's how pivotal this movie is. Let me look it up real quick and see when that movie came out. When did Daughters of the Dust come out? 1991, December 27, 1991. Yep. Let's see. Definitely a Gullah Geechees. Let me see if I can give you just a little. It is on Canopy. When I was getting all my notes and stuff ready for this, I double checked, so it's definitely on there. And they're saying, why was Daughters of the Dust revolutionary? Daughters of the Dust recreates one strand of African American history and tradition as a sort of deferred cinematic classical musical. The lyrical reclamation of a vital cultural life and of an inner world of dreams and emotions from repression and oblivion. Anywho, Daughters of the Dust, if you haven't seen it, please take time to check it out through Canopy because you got it through your library card. Also, if you like Diggable Planets, you can check out all 3 of their albums on Hoopla. Why? Because Hoopla streams more than just books and movies. They have CDs and music and things like that too. So Diggable Planets, let me because what y'all know about them Diggable Planets? I'm going to teach you. Diggable Planets. Oh, I spell it wrong. Hold on. I didn't spell that wrong. Huh. L-E. Let's go back. Diggable Planets. Ninth Wonder is the name of that song. Like the ninth wonder of the world. Okay, Diggable Planets, Ninth Wonder. That's where they reference the Daughter of the Dust, Julie Dash movie. Okay, let's see. We're going to wrap this up because I've been talking a long time because I absolutely love this book and I hope you guys love the book too. Let's end it with one question. Oh, you know what? Let's go back here. We're going to add this to the stage. That's my granny down. Hi, grannies. Let's go back here. Okay, we're talking about the discussion questions. We're going to wrap it up in just a minute here. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if we have any other questions. How was Octavia Butler a scientist, anthropologist, astronomer, biologist, mathematician, and a psychologist? From your perspective, how might it benefit a writer to be a jack of all trades? Okay, so the deal is this, is that Octavia Butler was so smart and so interested in so many things. Why should she limit herself? She shouldn't have to limit herself, so she didn't. A lot of the stories that she wrote about, she had to know human nature or anthropology to fit it all together to be able to tell a story that made sense and was interesting. I think they said she was a botanist or a biologist. She definitely studied about plant life and collecting seeds. If you read Parable of a Sower, you know it. And if not, you're going to have to put that on hold because everybody and their mama in Pueblo wants to read that book. I think we even have graphic novels. So if prose is not necessarily your thing, you can read a graphic novel. We definitely have the graphic novel of Kindred. We have the Parable of the Sower as a graphic novel too. Also, I know that a lot of people have talked about how they're reading Kindred in high school. Y'all need to be reading Parable of the Sower in high school too. Always wanting that. Let me stop. What I will say is this. I'm 50 years old. I'm just going to start saying I'm 50 because dang it, I'm basically there. I think that Octavia Butler's name is going to be on classics. You know how we have our classic books here and they got that sticker and it's Dickens or it's Austen or it's any other number of people. What's Orson Welles? Did I say Orson Welles? I think that's who I meant. Orson Welles or somebody who wrote 1984. It's always them. I promise you, in the next 20, 30 years, Butler is going to be on the list. And y'all are not only going to be reading Kindred. You're going to be reading Fledgling. You're going to be reading Dawn and Imago. You're going to be reading this book here, too, because it's going to lay the basis. If you like science fiction at all, and anybody that you have read, they probably have been influenced by her. In the past 20 or 30 years, they have probably been influenced by this woman here. This one woman who was told that she was a weirdo and a freak and didn't fit in. And how dare you be smart and tall and quietly mind your business? How dare you? So we're going to make you feel bad and try and ostracize you. She didn't listen. Thank goodness she didn't listen because that could have hindered us getting some of these really awesome stories that people are still talking about to this day. To this day, it's 2024, and we are still talking about Octavia Butler, and she's been dead for at least a decade, and her work is still relevant. And I'm so glad that it is. I'm so glad that people are still enjoying her. I'm glad for people who are going to find out about her today. Don't feel bad if you had never read Octavia Butler. Please don't feel bad about that. You can't know everything. You can't read everything. But now that you know, fix it. Come to the library and check the book out. And in fact, you know what I'm finna do? I'm finna turn this book in. For why? So you can go check it out. For why? Why? Because I want you to check it out. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. I hope you enjoyed this book discussion. I hope that if you have not had a chance to read this, that anything that I have said here has inspired you to come and check it out. I just think it's wonderful that we can expand who we are and how we see ourselves in this world just based off of stories, based off of things that we tell ourselves. I think that's phenomenal. I think it's amazing, and I think everybody deserves it. So anyway, thank y'all so much for spending some time with me. Again, thank you, live stream viewers. I see you right now watching. I appreciate you being here. Replay viewers, I appreciate you too. Remember, you can always ask questions about the book or what the next book is going to be on the Lovely from the Library Facebook page. I'm streaming right now on the Lamb Facebook page, the Lovely from the Library Facebook page, and the Lamb YouTube page. So there's about 3 different places that I am streaming. In case you don't use Facebook, use YouTube and go and watch it on our Lamb YouTube page. Happy to have you there, here, or anywhere. All right. I will see you guys next month. That's what I'm supposed to do. Here we go. Let's add this to the stage. This is what, okay, so if you really want to do some deep dive and read some Octavia Butler books, we have a ton. I think we have about 12 or 13. We have them in print form, ebook form, and e-audiobook form. These are definitely ones that we have in print form as well as electronic form. We have Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower. That's the first book in the parable series. We have Dawn, which is part of the I forget the name of the series. I think that's the one with the space aliens, the Oncali. We have Fledgling, which is about a vampire. That's the last book Octavia Butler wrote. And Imago. We have tons more, like I said. These are just some that I put there so that folks could see. We have a lot of Octavia Butler books, so if you haven't had a chance to read any, fix it. Fix it and go check out some of these books. Okay. Next month, we are going to be reading The Marvelaires by Danielle Clayton. It's going to be February 15th at 4 p.m. This book is available in print form, and it is also available in e-audiobook form. So if you want to see some really awesome kids who come from hoodoo practitioners, and you want to see how they save the day, come on by. We got the book for you. You can come and check it out at the library. You can check it out through the Libby app. I believe it is also on Hoopla. It's definitely on Libby. So if you can't make it into the library for whatever reason, you can still check it out because that e-library is always open. When we're closed, they're always open. All right, I think that's it. I enjoyed my time with y'all today. I hope you enjoyed the talk. If you have any questions or comments, or even any critiques, any suggestions on how I can make things better, please let me know. You can always talk to me on Facebook. You can leave a comment below this video. You can come into the library and say, hey, lovely, I caught your live stream, and I think da-da-da-da-da-da will make it better. I'm always looking to improve, and I appreciate your feedback, and I will see you next month. Bye, y'all.